This is Remnant from the Ashes. We're here on Xbox Series S. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is a cooperative focused Dark Souls-like game where you create a character and work alone or ideally in groups of up to 3 players in co-op as you try to survive varying areas with ranging levels of difficulty, crazy boss battles, and it's basically the shooter Dark Souls. Now, on the Series S, this game is actually current gen aware. It did get a bit of an update, which is great. So what are we getting here? It's 1080p, 60 FPS, and you know what? It's actually a pretty nice fluid experience for the Series S. It's not necessarily visually super impressive on the Series S side of things, but you know, you get a clear quality image, you get a decent frame rate level. I mean, it's not quite the higher fidelity level that I'm used to with the, you know, I guess you would say the Series X side of things, because it has a, you know, 4K option, but yeah, for the Series S, honestly, just getting 1080p, 60 FPS is sort of fine, and yeah, it's decent enough. Now, it is a little, I guess you would say, murky. It's got that 1080p sort of aesthetic and look to it, but honestly, not too bad. So, let's dive in and talk about this experience. It features procedurally generated locations and areas, a wide range of, I guess there was basically like tons of extra DLC content and support, but the core game is actually pretty well stuffed, over 100 varieties of deadly enemies, and like 20 epic bosses. Seriously, like the world changes too, like you can go at it multiple times over, and you'll have different level setups with the procedural generation, and it just kind of keeps it fresh. The combat is just sort of endless, and you keep improving your character, battling. You can easily join other player lobbies or go in by yourself, and lots of easy ways to play. So you're also gathering items and resources in order to improve your gear, your weapons, your tools, different types of armor and whatnot. It really is all about survival and trying to keep alive. But as you can tell, it is very much a Souls-like game. And it did have a successor as well, so we'll have that up on the channel too if you need to see that one in action. But they very much are sort of their own games, despite, you know, kind of being, you know, the second one's a sequel, obviously, but like, yeah, they've got neat elements to them. So humanity is not doing well, and now we're out in the cosmos to a degree, or these other worldly areas, trying to fight and survive against all of the odds that are present. And you just visit some very differing, unique locations with your range of weapons, from kind of being able to just shoot to using stuff such as, you know, kind of the melee hammer and stuff that I got going on there. It's all about visiting and dealing with this root effect that has grown and caused problems across this galaxy of sorts. It's a post-apocalyptic world, and, you know, you're basically going across a series of post-apocalyptic type areas, or just areas that are infected and destroyed and filled with this level of, like, corruption. You know, obviously, there's some earthly locales, is what I'm getting to with the post-apocalyptic bit. But as soon as you dive in and you go to, like, this research place, there's this giant crystal, you start traveling to other places, the giant crystals, and then you're, like, you know, kind of seeing all the sights, really. There's a variety of unique locations. As I've kind of mentioned, like, you literally do visit some great places. And there's, like, a variety of differing weapons, too, right? Like, it's not just kind of what I've got going on. I don't know why I'm even rocking a shotgun, honestly. I guess I usually use, or at least on the Remnant 2, I'm kind of used to the LMG that I kind of rock. So this is a bit of a mix-up for me. So you do have some extra ability items too. You can see that on the bottom left there. And it's all about kind of exploring, taking things in, proving yourself, battling, going through the Souls-like stages and setups. Like, literally, they've got, like, the yellow doors and everything too. So you literally set foot into a, you know, Souls-like boss area. And, like, it does its own thing. You know, like, I call it Dark Souls with guns, but it does have its own personality to it. They did do a pretty good job in, like, you know, giving this one its own sort of distinct styling and way to play. And it's very fascinating coming to this one after playing a fair bit of the second one right before this and also recently. So it is interesting to kind of, I guess you would say, see the differences and how it's kind of like evolved, which is interesting. As I said, like, it's really easy to kind of like connect with others if you want to play with them. I just kept joining some matches and people were like basically idling, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna jump in and start doing my own thing because it's gonna take forever. I'm waiting for the right match and doing co-op. I don't know, maybe somebody will join in. It's kind of how this stuff goes. And you just like kind of explore all these locations and visit all these places, and it really does have quite a variety of setups to it. And it's great that they actually spent the time doing a current gen update, since so many titles really just kind of get completely forgotten, which is a bit of a shame. Because all it takes is a little bit of a bump up, and it's a well appreciated effort to kind of enjoy the experience better. And then the game does have a deeper element of like role playing to it, if that makes sense. Like, you have these things called traits, and these traits allow you to further distinctly customize and furtherly upgrade your characters. So we've got things like, you know, your max level, your endurance level, and you put in the trait points that you get in order to improve that sort of thing, which is rather interesting. Yeah, and there's some secrets and stuff. I didn't necessarily love this one when it came out because it is brutally difficult. Again, like, I think the more you play it, the better you go, but like, it does take a lot of time to get things rolling, and like, I do want to emphasize the fact that this is a game with a, I don't know if difficulty curve is the right way to put it, but like, it is challenging. It really definitely is. It's pretty hardcore. It's a lot better in co-op. Like, honestly, like, the last time I played this was when they did the big current gen kind of upgrade to this one for the Series X side of things. And I really just kind of was like, I don't know. And then I kind of got into a cooperative situation with someone. And I ended up actually having more fun than I did when the game first launched, because I had somebody that was, I guess you would say, giving me the assist, and yeah, it was just very interesting to have that extra kind of perspective and assist in going into battle. Oh, and there's like dungeon type areas that are like offshoots and stuff like that. There's also weapon modifications, tool modifications. There is a lot of stuff. And these checkpoints, they basically act like the fires from Dark Souls. You know, you interact with them. You get your checkpoint, get your refresh your stuff, enemies refresh, and then you kind of just get right back into the battle that's set up here. So let's see how well this goes for me. And now we're in the Tangled Pass. So there are quite a few places to visit, and quite a lot of grotesque, creepy monsters and things to deal with, and you just get like some very distinct armor and whatnot. Like, it's very interesting because it's very much like, you know, if you've played Dark Souls, I think you know, can look at this and be like, oh, I can definitely see that influence, but at the same time you can kind of go, it has its own sort of vibe. And it embraces its vibe very well. I think that's why it's kind of become such a popular title over the years too. Like, I'll definitely give it to him. This one has some genuinely great longevity to it. It's certainly, as I said, they added so much to it, and it's got a successor out too. It's impressive. Not many games get this kind of level of loyalty and intrigue from players, and then, you know, go on so long. I mean, to the fact that it actually got a current gen update with so few. Like, this is a very rare thing to have. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily crazily revamp things, but it just gives a nice enough of a bump up that you actually get a level of fluidity, which I think is excellent. Oh yeah, and the rings, yeah, that's part of your armor stuff. Some extra, like, ability type things, little bonuses here or there. It's all about those skills. Yeah, this actually feels almost just quaint against the upgrades of the second one. Very, very interesting. I wonder if this is one of those ones that they'll, like, remake someday. I know that sounds really weird, like, I don't necessarily think this game needs it, but, like, I do sort of ponder with all, like, the Unreal Engine 5 stuff we're getting nowadays, especially with the second one using that engine. I do wonder how much of a hassle it would be if they wanted to take the time to, like, actually remake this title. And just make it look even better, really. It would be fascinating. I don't know if it's needed, but it would be really, really cool. Like, I think it genuinely does hold up pretty well. Even on the Series S side of things, I think it's pretty good looking. You know, at least comparable to other games of this resolution and frame rate, right? Must have been rough playing this on the original Xbox One. Because I think when I covered this one first, that was, I believe, in the realms of the Xbox One X era. So we definitely, I would have been playing this at a much higher resolution. Because originally this would have just been like the 1080-30 for the, you know, for the series, or for the Xbox One, and then, kind of interesting. Stamina cost, critical. You get like a lot of bonuses. The trait system really does add a layering of role-playing expertise to this one. As I kind of mentioned. I think I've kind of gone over a lot of the context of it from a gameplay perspective, just like what you're doing. You know, but there is, obviously, as you've been seeing, collecting the scrap, the loot, there is improvement systems to go a little bit further. So you do get benefits out of playing it more. Like, you can sit there, you can play through it, finish it, you know, kill all the stuff, and be like, okay. And then, like, move on if you'd like, but you could also sit there and actually kind of really get into it, if that makes sense, and replay it, like, a few times, and there isn't enough differentiation between the areas and between, like, the regeneration. Like, it's not going to feel like an entirely new game every time you go through an area, but, like, you know, it's different enough with that I think it'll at least be a bit of a mix-up for you. That is actually annoying. No! You are dead. Now they got like little quotes there at the top too. I actually completely missed that. This is like little quote things. But I mean, if you're not into the Souls like genre, like it is going to be a bit of a challenge. Like I do really want to get that across because I don't want some people being like, oh, neat, blah blah blah, and jump into it, and then being like, oh, this genre is like too much. And that's totally fair. Like that, you know, it's okay. Yeah, not every game is for every type of player, right? But I think if you do put in the time, or at least you got players, like it's much easier going and more fun when you are actually doing this cooperatively. I think the co-op adds just a ton to this experience for team play and, you know, doing your battles and stuff. I think it makes a big difference for getting into it and actually enjoying it even more. Because as I said, you know, I played it and I had to work by myself to review it and stuff, and it just wasn't a great time, and I struggled with it, and I was like, oh, whatever. And then I came back with the Series X review of it, and, you know, I basically, like, actually just sat there and, like, worked through the whole game with somebody the day of that happened, and I was like, oh, wow. Because I didn't even see that coming, I was just having a good time kind of vibing. So, you know, that experience could be the same for you, but it's going to vary for every individual on this one. Because I hope I'm not making it too casual, because it can be like, it can feel grueling. It really genuinely can feel grueling. And you'll just sit there and be like, ah. But if you're really into that whole Dark Souls genre, it's going to be a bit of a neat adventure for you. You're forgetting I have like the healing ability and stuff. It's like a fire attack. Gotta get those modifiers going. It's ridiculous hearts. I do like that it's a mix of like shooting and melee. They kind of get both of those down, and a lot of the rolling. It really is a Dark Souls-like game. This was probably one of the earlier attempts where they're like, Dark Souls, but you fire guns. What? And then they're like, oh, it is successful. Because I don't know how many other kind of Souls-like games have a focus. Like, this is definitely like more than just, you know, Dark Souls with guns. There's like an actual emphasis on gunplay as being the primary way that you battle things in this. There's other Dark Souls games. I think they get like the side kind of like ranged weapon and or gun. But it doesn't really go that much further. Yeah, all these items and stuff literally just straight up also in the second one, which is kind of funny. I mean, it's a sequel, so it makes obvious sense, but it's just kind of funny seeing that like transference between the two. Kind of a bit of an entertainment aspect for me, kind of going, oh, okay, cool. Because it's a neat playing something. Yeah, going away from it for a long time. And then playing, like, the sequel, and then coming back and being like, oh, okay, so this is what they devolved, this is what they changed. Maybe there's, like, a boss at the end. Maybe not on this one. Maybe I got lucky and picked the one that doesn't have, like, a crazy boss monster that would absolutely just rail me. Oh, and the loading's a little bit faster, too. Which is nice. Yeah, the loading is a little bit quicker with the Series S, which is great. Especially coming off of the Xbox One era where everything took forever. It didn't feel that bad then, but now that you're on like a faster machine, it's quite a bit of a difference. I don't like those ominous clouds over there. I could travel away and hide, in fear of the darkness that is sure to follow. Yeah, I bet this is like a boss area, isn't it? Oh no. Oh no. This earth sure fell apart, eh? And you get ugly monsters like this. I feel like if you just had regular guns, you could kill these things. I think the most difficult aspect of this actually is like keeping everything like reloaded. And keeping that health going. Oh, this doesn't seem too bad. Where is it? I always forget the characters say stuff too. Oh, that was easy.
Whoa. It's over.
I honestly thought that was going to be a lot worse. It's actually kind of a little bit of a walk in the park. You know, someone's getting a little too confident out here now. Such a weird but distinct looking world. And that skyline, they did some good work with this one back in the day from like a technical perspective, honestly, upon reflection. Not bad at all. I think this one holds up decently well. And do we exit into the safety of this shelter? Corrosion reduces armor effectiveness? No way. That's impossible. Does it corrosively burn through our souls? Now we're back on the main street. The lost area and world of Earth. Will we ever be able to bring it back? Probably not. This place looks pretty destroyed. Do you imagine having to clean up at like a dystopian destroyed planet Earth? Ugh, that'd be a nightmare.